Chapter 12 A Vision of Jerusalem. Nicanor had been right. Vespasian was emperor in Rome now, and within days his son Titus reopened the campaign. Philadelphia and the lands of the 10 cities were a backwater, and Marius Galenus fretted as every messenger brought news of troop mobilizations, and it seemed that he would be stuck forever in a forgotten depot. He was fit enough after a winter of exercise and massage at the baths, but it seemed that the generals had forgotten him. "Here's something that will interest you," he said to Philo one day, flipping a dispatch across to him. "Our friend Sosthenes is on the march. The main muster of auxiliaries will be at Caesarea, not Caesarea Philippi, the other one on the coast. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of his mounted troops came this way. Sosthenes will want to pick up what mounts he can from the Arabians. It's a pity your brother had to go into a foot company. How long has it been now?" "Only 3 months. He sent a message once. He knows the caravan leaders who come down from the north." "I think he'll do well. He could be an officer by the end of the war if he keeps his head on his shoulders." Philo smiled politely and got on with his work, hoping to see Conan was not a sensible way to spend time. Every day now the future became more uncertain. During the last months he had settled into a kind of routine that after the horrible winter before had given him time to draw breath, to feel the weight of responsibility grow easier to bear. After all, he was 15 now, yet any one of the dispatches which passed across the tribune's desk could end his security. When the Romans moved, his job would be gone, and the house would be empty and tenantless, and they would have gone because of a war in which his two brothers would be fighting on different sides. Sosthenes' men did come back to Philadelphia. 2 of his companies had been locally raised, and the captain was always hungry for new recruits. Nothing was as effective for that as a group of well-fed, well-dressed troopers of duty swaggering around the marketplace, particularly when they had not seen enough real fighting to have frightening tales to tell. Philo watched their arrival without hope. Conan was in the 2nd Foot Company, and they had marched directly to Caesarea. Then one evening he found Lucia in the twilight, waiting for him in the main courtyard when he left his work in the evening. "What is it? You're not ill?" "No, it's Hylas. I don't know what's the matter. He hasn't been out of his room since morning, and when I went in to ask him if he was all right, there was something about the way he was lying that made me afraid to speak." "I'll go and see." Now he thought about it. Hylas had looked strange for some days, but he had been too preoccupied with his own problems to take much notice. Hylas had slowly grown stronger in body as the days passed. He had made a friend of Gorion and was able to walk with him as far as his house to meet with other men about whom Philo had asked no questions. There had proved to be enough copying work in the city to give him the small income he needed. He had seemed serene enough now for a long time, and yet what could it have been except a waiting kind of serenity? From the time when Hylas regained his memory, he had believed he had been sent to Philadelphia for some purpose by his unlikely god. What if that god had now given him further instructions? He was like Marius Galenus, really, a man waiting for orders. But not now, thought Philo. Not when everyone else is going too. He pushed back the curtain and went into the little room. Hylas had not lit the lamp, and he could see very little until he found it on the table and took it out to light from the cooking fire. Only then could he see Hylas lying on his bed, curled over towards the wall, and the parcel of work that Philo had collected for him the day before unopened on the table. Hylas stirred when Philo's shadow moved across the wall and turned on to his back. He looked very tired, the way he had at the beginning of his recovery. "No, I'm not ill," he said with a ghost of a smile. "No need to look at me like that." "I'm sorry." "Philo, it's I who am sorry. I meant to be up and washed by the time you came back. I've been, I don't know how to put it, on a long journey today, and it's made me very tired. But there's no need to weary you with an account of it. I'm all right now, I think, and you have your own problems." "But I want to know." Philo sat down in his bed, feeling hurt and shut out. Suddenly he understood how much Hylas had not told him during all these months when they had lived so closely together. Of course, this was not the life Hylas had been made for. It was like seeing a fine racehorse quietly eating hay in its loose box and thinking that all there was to know about it. "You're going away," he said, and it was not a question. "Perhaps that's part of it, but not all. I'm not going yet." The relief was so tremendous that for a moment Philo could not imagine what other problems Hylas could have. Then he saw that might be just it, still having to wait. And all that time, nearly a year, the unknown friend Camillus had been believing him dead. I think I said something to you once, back in the early days when I was still quite ill, about what it cost to be a hero. Do you remember? Asked Hylas. Yes, it was when you told us about that night, but you had a fever then. I still knew what I was talking about. Then I mainly meant the physical pain of going on living when you've been very badly hurt, and I suppose I saw ahead how it was going to be, going on from month to month, partly crippled. I've never been a great athlete like your Tribune, but I used to not be like this. He put out a hand to his eyes. I know it's been slow, but you are getting better. Yes, I know that, and I can see for myself that the scars are fading. People don't turn around in the street after me anymore. No, today I've been fighting a different kind of battle. I don't ever seem to be able to make things easy for myself. All this time I've been waiting for orders. Philo made no sound. Yes, you saw it, didn't you? Now it's not exactly what they've already come, but I know it won't be long, and when I have to prepare to go, I'm frightened. It's been too quiet here, too comfortable, doing work I could do easily, learning Aramaic, being with people who loved me, and I have had to learn again that I am not supposed to have a family. Oh, Hylas, why not? That's cruel. If that's what your God wants for you, you said we loved you, and we do. Philo found he had crossed the space between the two beds and had his arms around Hylas, hugging him as if he would never let him go. Hylas held the boy tightly and put one hand up to stroke his thick, untidy hair, wondering how he was going to explain the inexplicable. Think, Philo, I'm only like Conan and Nico, who are both under orders too. It's nothing strange. I'm lucky that I could choose whom I would serve. Conan couldn't. No, that wasn't what hurt so badly, but I think I've spent most of the day in a sort of dream. I was thinking about the future, and I was given the power to draw aside one corner of the curtain that hides it from us, and what I saw frightened me. I think I saw Jerusalem, as my Christos would have seen it so often, and known what was coming to it. It was as if there was one of those great red sunsets behind it, the sort that came after a sandstorm, and then I saw that the red came from fire and blood. The holy temple was burning, every roof in the city was on fire, and the very ground was soaked in blood. There were so many people there, thousands and thousands, driven in by war and fear. Already so many have died that the streets have been choked with bodies, but there are many more who have lived through this already and must still die themselves when the end comes. Your God loves Jerusalem. Won't he save it from the Romans? If that was his way, he would have done it generations ago. I remember once seeing a small child burn himself at a stove. The glow was pretty, and he kept putting his hand too near. His father was watching. Twice he told him to stop before he hurt himself. Once he pulled him away and smacked him, and the child still came back. Then the coals moved, and the child burnt his hands. He ran out of the room, hurt and screaming. If he had gone to his father, the pain could still have been soothed away, but he would not give in even then. The Jews have been like that, in that they have preferred their pain to a curbing of their will. And Conan will be there, said Philo, wiping his face on the corner of his tunic and drawing away. Conan will be where? Asked a voice in the doorway. Philo spun around. There was no mistaking the voice, but the soldier who stood there was quite magnificent. Oh no! At the very moment when the picture of Jerusalem in flames was still burning behind his eyes, it was almost too much. What a welcome! Move over, Philo. That's still partly my bed. Before Philo could greet his brother, Hylas had come forward to take Conan's hands and be gripped hard in return. Beyond them, Lucia stood in the doorway, but for Philo it was still too like the snatched hour when they had said goodbye to Nicanor. Both his brothers had come out of the night to reawaken the fears and loves that had gone with them. Conan would go as Nicanor had done, and they would not see him again. Their father, at least, was quietly dead far down beyond the desert gate. At least the dead could no longer hurt in quite this way. He pushed past the others and ran out into the dusk and across the furthest storeroom. A little later, Conan found him there, without his helmet and cloak. He looked rather more recognizable, but suddenly much more like their father. I'm sorry, said Philo, sniffing, when Conan had sat down on a sack across from him. That was no way to welcome you. You know it's good to see you. It's all right, I understood. It hurts. So you wonder if it's worth it. I think it is. But what are you doing here anyway? Your company's in Caesarea by now. Most of them. I'm part of the commander's escort. I've been in just long enough to wrangle that much. So it's all right? Mostly, yes. There are bad bits. I've got a friend, though, and it would have been worse without him. You'll like Quintus. We are here for several days, so you'll meet him. He's down in the market getting drunk somewhere. I wanted to bring him, but he wouldn't this first time. He's decent like that. I wanted to see how you all were. After months and months, you never know what you'll find. We're all still here. So I see. You've done well, Philo. Father would have been pleased. For a little while they talked about small things. So much had changed that it was hard to know where to start. Then Conan, who had been fiddling with his dagger, looked across at his brother. No news of Nicanor? Not since last month. I wrote to you. You got the letter? Yes. So I suppose he's really there, perched in Machaerus, watching the western sky over the salt lake for smoke from Jerusalem. And that's where you're going? Yes. Don't look like that. I'm not expecting to have to storm the walls myself. That's what the legions are for. Auxiliaries have duller jobs. We keep the supply routes open and guard the prisoners and pick the carcasses clean after the Romans have done the killing. Some of the fear left him. You won't be going to Machaerus then? Not for the moment, but I think you will. At first the words did not mean anything. Philo got up and went into the courtyard, and Conan followed him. Then what had been said hit him. What do you mean I will? Don't you mean the depot here, Galenus and everyone? You too, I think. When I got here tonight, I thought I'd better do things properly, as I was in uniform, and I went to the front gate and reported. I rather hoped I could march in on the Tribune and find you at your desk. I was looking forward to seeing your face, but you had already gone, and Galenus was dancing up and down, quite full of himself. His movement order is through at last. He's to relieve the officer in charge of the blockade at Machaerus, such as it is. I said I was sorry you would be out of a job, and he looked amazed and said that of course you would be going with him. Didn't you know? This time, small brother, I can help you pack.